Check, check. We live again. Peace, peace, y'all. Welcome, everybody. I said I'll be getting back on today, and here we are. I told you I was gonna be back. I'm a man of my word. I still got the chat up from the previous stream when we ended it. Keep the conversation going. I started with chopping up a drum loop, and that's where I left off. I had to take my Aunt Dukes to the dentist. Life happens, man. That doesn't mean that we can't get back where we left off. Pick it up where we left off. You know what I mean? So I'm just wait for the community to start coming in a bit to the chat. If you were here earlier, say what's up again. And if you're new here, introduce yourself if you so wish to do so. Neve the official. Yo, what up, what up? That's a new name I see, but welcome, man, welcome. And if you've been in the channel, we're happy to have you, man. Happy to be here. Happy that you're here, I mean. This is a community of just amazing people, amazing artists. I think we're all artists, but just amazing people that share knowledge, that want to empower each other, that want to inspire each other. So welcome, welcome. I get on here and I talk about either the state of the music industry, my experience in the music industry, and we talk vintage samplers, specifically the ASR-10 by Ensoniq or the Akai MPC 2000 XL, which are the two samplers that I own that are vintage. I'm also a Teenage Engineering KO2 user, so that comes up in the conversation every so often. And then the community also has a slew of different samplers, right? We got all sorts of Akai sampler users that are part of the community, amongst other types of workstations and keyboards, Yamahas and Korgs, and you name it, man. I've seen people say that they've used it or are proficient in it. So no questions related to music, equipment, or the process is off limits. Because if I don't know the answer, there's a very high chance that somebody else here does. We chopped it a couple of times in comments. I've been watching you for a while. Appreciate the positive, chill content and energy. Yes, yes, the name looks familiar, so I believe, you know, we might have talked in a comment of a video or something like that. But I appreciate you. I appreciate you for checking out the channel. And yeah, man, I try to keep it positive and chill. Although earlier, man, on my live stream, I got what I like to call passionate, a little excited, you know what I mean? But it's all in good spirits. It's all in good spirits, you know. I do try to be positive and chill and informative as well as valuable to the community, because I do believe that this content is bigger than myself. You know, God forbid the day that I'm no longer with the community or, you know, on this earth, all this information, unless YouTube goes down, will be available for generations to come. And some of that could be valuable, man. It could be helpful to someone on the same journey, on the same path. Because I remember when I was learning, there was a different format, right? There was forums. I don't know if you come from that era where we had to read a lot. We had to read manuals. Not saying that you shouldn't anymore, that you don't have to anymore, but when I was coming up learning about audio and learning about samplers, most of the information was on the forums or inside the manual. So we had to decipher a lot of things, you know. Maybe a member of the NPC community didn't want to divulge certain things because, you know, they didn't want to spoon feed us. And I appreciate that, because a lot of beginners will ask the same questions. So I understand it gets a bit not annoying, but it gets a little bit redundant, if you will. I don't think anybody's annoying, man. I always try to speak to the community as if it is a beginner, because we were all beginners at one point. And at the same time, there are a lot of people that come by and they're not music producers, right? They just have fun watching creatives create. And that's our purpose, right? Like, if you're a creator or a creative, right, you want to be able to do what you love and have an audience enjoy it. So not everybody's going to be a creative person. Some people want to consume the creations that you're making. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's why I try not to just speak to the producer community, but speak on a layman's level and on a general level to everybody, because you don't know who's enjoying this content and this information. Sometimes, you know, people could watch someone do a construction of a building for hours. I know my uncle, he likes to watch a lot of construction videos on YouTube, and he's just sitting on his couch, you know, enjoying it because he's retired already, you know. He was in construction at some point, so that's his love. But, you know, there could be somebody watching this that's not a sampler, you know, a sample enthusiast, or they just like to see the process. And that's beautiful, because it allows us to have an audience. You know, without the audience, never forget, man, it's not all about impressing the producer community. We have to cater to those that don't know about this and show them why it's important to us. Show them why it's important to support other artists and other creatives. So thank you to everybody that joins in, everyone that participates, says hello. And if you're just watching, thank you also. Because without you guys, this doesn't even make sense, right? Where I left off before was I was chopping up a drum loop, and I was looking for one shots. You know, I was trying to show kind of how we go about doing that with the Ensoniq ASR-10. And I think I got, I haven't turned it off since I left. A lot of times, just to, again, if you've been here before, don't mind me repeating myself, because I have to assume that every so often a new person walks in and does not know anything about the process. And a lot of the process is repetitive. So there's that. But yeah, I don't save on the ASR-10 because it still uses floppy, the version that I have. And that's also, you know, very subjective to how you got your keyboard. Some people have done modifications to bring the ASR-10 into the new era. So they've replaced the floppy drive with this USB thing called the GoTech, which basically emulates floppy images, but it holds them in a USB. So don't get confused sometimes if you see this or if you're in the market for ASR-10. The GoTech is not a USB drive for the ASR-10. It emulates images, so it's still slow, and you have to create different floppy images, I believe. I've never used a sampler or put that on my ASR because I don't really save on it. And I don't want to deal with any of the troubleshooting that comes with altering the storage system of the ASR-10. Now on my MPC 2000 XL, which you might see here with that screen right there, right over my shoulder, I did replace that with a compact flash drive. And the reason for that is that it was a project that I wanted to take on, and floppies on the MPC 2000 XL are just a headache because I actually do save some programs on the MPC 2000 XL. For example, right now I have a drum program. Let me see if I could make sound, right? Yeah, so sometimes the ASR itself will glitch out where it's not reading the outputs, the external outputs. And that happens to be the case right now, I guess. But like everything else, I'll show you what I had so far. I had this kick and a snare, what we were starting with, but it wasn't much. I was showing that on the last live. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the ASR so we could start from scratch and I don't have to waste time troubleshooting. So that's often the case. It could have been that it was on for too long and it overheats and it starts acting weird. So that's the nature of the beast, man. And if you in the market for one, just be aware that sometimes things like that happen and you got to start all over. So let me shut down the ASR and restart it, and we'll get back. I see there's some questions there. All right. So I guess it's just me and you right now, Neve, the official. Yo, have you seen that ASR-V? Is that the software version of the ASR? I think I saw it come up on either the forum or it could have been a YouTube thumbnail that I saw, but I haven't dove deep into it. And if you could enlighten me, like who makes it? Are you using it? I have not used it myself, no. Yeah, so now I'm getting the MPC input, and I guess, like I said, something happened while I was away and stopped the input monitoring stopped working. Could be a bug. It could be the overheating of the machine. Let me see if it's hot. Yeah, it's significantly hot. Sometimes if you leave it on for long periods of time, it should be in a temperature controlled room. I didn't, my mistake, but it's that part of it stopped working, so I just had to turn it on and off and back on again. I'm sure my ASR needs servicing soon, so I'm just working on it till it breaks, to be honest. So yeah, I always keep a drum kit open on the MPC 2000 XL, which is going into the right side of the ASR-10. And then I also have my Teenage Engineering KO2. Which is this guy over here, the calculator looking device. I'm sure you guys have seen it. So there's a bunch of samples there. I think I got the stock sounds in it again. And everything is connected into the ASR-10. So sometimes I chop drum loops, and I did this in a previous live. I chop drum loops inside the MPC 2000 XL because it is the machine that I started on before I got the ASR-10. And I understand already how to chop a drum groove into 16 pads and make it all line up perfectly. And I showed how to do that. There's a short where I show how to do that and why that's useful. And there's a live that I did not too long ago where I show how to do that as well. I don't show the screen, but I talk about the process because I do feel it's more valuable to understand the concept of things rather than just nitpick at being a tutorial channel. I'm more of a concept-based channel. So if that works for you, then, you know, thank you. But if it doesn't, you're going to have to probably wait until the channel continues to grow and develop and more cameras are added, which, you know, God willing, things continue to go well and we'll be able to give you guys multiple camera angles, etc., etc. Let me read this comment. Neve, thank you for your comments, by the way, man. I appreciate the participation on the channel. It's a pretty comprehensive recreation of literally the whole ASR converters. The floppy drive can load Ensoniq this images. It even has a sequencer independent of the DAW sequencer. Okay, and when you say is this a virtual VST? That's my question. Haven't bought it myself because I'm broke at the moment. Plus, I want a real ASR anyway. So I'm assuming this is a VST or a software version of the ASR. I'm a member of the Facebook group, so I do see things like that come up. But lately, I've been a bit away from the computer or buying at least new software, and been focusing on the channel. And this channel kind of you know, took off when I started talking more about the ASR and the MPC. And I think that's kind of where my value is too, because I feel there's a lot of people making content already about working inside of DAWs. So I try to put something out there that's not already there. Okay, so it's a VST and a standalone app. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I look into it more and see what it's all about, you know. I did see an image of it. I'm gonna be honest. I saw an image, but I have not seen any video reviews about it. And I have not seen any I haven't dove into it myself, right? And one thing I could say to you is one time I downloaded like the MPC 2000V, which was also like a exact recreation of the MPC 2000 XL and the workflow, and I didn't like it because one thing you have to understand is that these units they're a little bit uncomfortable to work on in the physical form to begin with. So porting that into a software version, I really I don't want to like knock down, because the person that made that put in a lot of work and effort. But personally, I work on the ASR-10 because it's a physical keyboard. Like a virtual keyboard for me wouldn't be useful, because I believe that there's things in the DAW that already do sampling in a more efficient way. I don't think that the ASR-10 is necessarily efficient in its workflow. I just think that it's comfortable to work on if you already understand it and know where you want to get to, because sample is right there. So you got to hit sample, and then you got to assign it to an instrument. Then you got to normalize the gain. Then you got to adjust the pitch LFO. Then you got to hit boost if it's a drum sound. Then you got to go into sample and chop by numbers. If you have that in software, I don't think that that's really useful, because you could chop with waveform on, the Ableton sampler, for example, or the simpler, which I think is way more close to an ASR-10. And I could make a video showing how simpler is very, very much like an ASR-10. It has all the, even the sampler has all the loop backwards, loop crossfade things. So I think that Ableton already has like a really good sampler. So I don't want to use something that looks like a ASR inside the software. That's just me personally. But shout out to the people that keep the culture of the ASR alive by making software like that, man. And it might be helpful for somebody that wants to see if the ASR is for them. They might use that. Nino, what's up, man? ASMR, man. I think you was going to start that channel where you just hit the buttons on the ASR. I think the ERX10 is a better one for actual ASR users, not ASR-V everyone keeps seeing. Yeah, I think the V is the one that I seen that looks like the rack mount or whatever, and it does all those things, but I really don't know how useful like having a virtual version of this thing would be, because even to the point of using the slider, like a lot of that stuff is very like feel based, like when you're moving this slider to find chops, it's very feel like based, and I don't think digitally you could recreate that. That's just my opinion, but I would love to see it and maybe try it at some point. I don't know if I'll pay for that though. Like I want to get Diva VST before I get something like that, man. Yeah, but then when loading up old disk, unless you're using SCSI, I don't know how many people have a floppy drive on their computer. There's still some people. But yeah, it could be useful for managing files, maybe creating programs before you load them up into the ASR if it's cross compatible, if there's cross compatibility, like you said. And maybe even for somebody to see if the workflow is for them. But I don't even think it does it justice, because a lot of it is tactile, and is ear based. Like when you're chopping and when you're hitting the buttons, it's just there's a lot to be said about the way things feel when you touch them. Like I've even gone so far to say multiple times on this channel that I couldn't gel with the MPC 2500 because I was already used to the feel and the sound of the click on the jog wheel of the 2000 XL. So the 2500 has a different sonic click when you're using the jog wheel, and it feels different. So those two things like threw me off. I don't know if everyone's like that, but that's something that I couldn't even go to the 2500 because I had already gotten used to something else. So it might be useful for somebody that maybe doesn't have that, or they really, really miss the ASR-10 and want to use it on the computer. But even with video games, you've seen that doesn't really like continue that well, like emulators and things. Like some people use them, but a lot of people move on. Yeah, Nino, you got to put your son to bed, man. Don't worry. We might be here still, I'm looking to finish this cookup that I started before. I was just answering some questions, waiting for people to show up. But do your thing, my brother. Father first, family first, brother. I got a USB floppy drive and 60 floppies ready for a machine I still haven't bought yet. The 2500 is my ish, for real, for real. I love JJOS, and shout out to Chuck Strangers for buying my 2500, and I see that he still uses it, so it went to a good place. But I just couldn't, it was something so simple. And yeah, man, sometimes we buy, bro, like that's the best way to manifest something into your studio, is like you could buy the floppies before the machine gets here. But yeah, man, you ready. I just bought a box of floppy not too long ago from Amazon, I think, but I haven't used it. It's just backup, and every so often I make copies of the OS, because the ASR-10 won't start up without the OS floppy inside the machine. It checks for it. That's how it's able to start up. So if you buy an ASR-10 and you're missing the floppy OS, you can't even work on the keyboard. It won't even power on fully without reading the operating system. If you didn't know, now you know. But anybody that owns one knows that already. But yeah, man, let me know, anybody in the chat, if y'all use this new ASR-V plugin. What do y'all think about it? And if you're an ASR user, is it something that scratches the itch or is helpful in the box? But yeah, thank you for bringing that up, because we haven't talked about that in the community or on this channel. What did come up was the oak sampler that is being like teased online, and I say teased because it's still in a prototype version, I guess. And that's a physical recreation of the ASR-10. But I would like to know more information about it. If anybody knows the engineer behind it, maybe we could ask some questions, or we could be put on when more information is out on how that's being accomplished. Because to my understanding is that there's a code or the OS for the ASR-10 is like, there's no documentation of it. There's certain things, schematics that are not available. I don't know. That's along the lines of what I've heard out there. I'm over here clicking the keyboard or the ASR-10, forgetting that I had already turned it off and back on, so it's empty now. It's a blank canvas. Unless you load another disk after it restarts, you gotta start from scratch. Yeah, bro. If you haven't seen it, there's a guy, I think it's called Oak, OAK sampler. I'm not endorsing it or whatever, but it looks promising, right? For the people that have seen the video on YouTube, it looks promising. It's like a 37 keyboard version, and kind of like the MPC Key 37, but it's supposed to have the same workflow. The buttons are in the same location, the same effects box, but there's still not information, I believe. I have to go look it up again about, how this is being done, because if it's just like if it's ASR-10s that are dying, that are being skinned, and by skinned I mean like used for parts and being put in a new box, that couldn't be of value to some people, but it's not scalable, right? So and I don't know if that's important to you guys, because eventually they'll start giving problems and there's no way you could fix that if you're not recreating it from the ground up. That's my only concern or question, right? But shout out to that brother that's doing that. It looks like I only seen like somebody's hand in the video, and yeah, man, that's a big feat. I'm sure it'll be very successful, because there are a lot of fans of this keyboard out there. And by fans, I just mean people that are into it, people that want one, don't have one. And the lore of it and the magic, quote unquote, of it keeps spreading like wildfire. And the interest of the keyboard is always continuing to grow, for better or worse. And it's getting harder and harder to find, because the people that have one are are keeping them and not letting go, and the prices are going up, but the repairs and the parts are not easy to come by, etc. But yeah, any questions you guys have about it, if you don't own one already, feel free to ask, and feel free to keep putting us on as to what's out there, man. Like, that's very recent news that the ASR-10 recreation is about to be out there, right? A new model, kind of like how, not the same way, because the Rossum SP-1200 is made by the guy that was part of the original SP-1200. I don't know who this person is, so it's a mystery guy. Maybe he'll come across this content and enlighten us. Yeah, I imagine maybe via FPGA. I don't know. I'm sorry, man. I don't know what that is. I don't even know if that's possible, mind you. But yeah, trying to recycle OSR parts, the price is going to be ridiculous. Yeah, and it's just like it's not I don't think that that's adding value to the community. It could be valuable to some people. Like if I told you, hey, here, my ASR-10 is dying and it's heavy. It's a heavy keyboard. Can you just take the guts of my ASR, replace some parts of it, but you're not like doing it from the ground up, so you don't really know how to recreate the actual machine or the OS. You know, there's a guy on the Facebook group that has been able to make replacement screens for it, which was a big thing for a long time. Like, it was hard to, like, when the screen died, to replace it. That was a very difficult thing to come across. And there's a guy that's been able to successfully do that, as well as successfully recreate the output expander, which has been going up for ridiculous prices. That's this piece right here, the OEX6SR. I got the original one that came with my Ensoniq when I bought it from the original owner. And that thing itself goes almost for just as much as the ASR, and it takes the stereo output and makes your ASR have 6 additional outputs for a total of 8. There's also someone that has recreated the SCSI module for the ASR, and that's valuable because they also go for a lot of money, as well as the digital card, I believe, was recreated. So there are people that are making the parts for it, especially the parts that are known to go bad, which is good news. Which is good news for all of us. And even I know a lot of vintage samplers have screens that go out, so that's great news, because you're able to get, like, you know, the MPC 2000 XL suffers from a fading screen. You're able to easily replace that for some time now. So if you have any of these old samplers, it's good to know that there's people that are actively making replacement parts in the community for them. All right, so I'm about to learn something new. FPGA basically means you can program a chip to simulate other computer chips. It's used in recreations of old gaming consoles and is way more accurate than emulation. All right, thank you for that information. And that's what I'm talking about, man. This community, you learn something new every day, and at least I do. So thank you for enlightening me on that, on what that means. And I did figure, like, you know, now with AI, if that even makes this more powerful, or more possible rather, like, you know, you could backwards engineer stuff now, or have code, you know, be created that we didn't know how to exist, because that's been the biggest, like, thing that comes up if you're part of, like, the Ensoniq community. People talking about like, there's nowhere to find this code or something like that, or the schematics. I don't know if it's the code or the schematics. Maybe when Nino comes back, he'll be able to tell us. Hey, and don't get me wrong, man. Like, I hope someone eventually, because I just don't have the technical knowledge to make something like that happen. But I'm surprised that a company like even Behringer making, emulations of the Oberheims and the 909 and the 808 drum machine and the Lindrum. I'm surprised nobody has focused on an ASR-10 recreation. Obviously, like recreating an MPC is not as attractive because a Kai is still active, even though it's a new, is what we call the new Kai. At least Nino, has coined that term or has brought that up because Akai got sold off to Newmark and then eventually became part of InMusic Group. So it's not the same Akai that existed when the what I learned pre MPC 4000. But yeah, like a recreation of a MPC 3000, for example, or an MPC 60 would be very welcomed, I think, by the community or a specific sector of the community. The MPC sample, obviously, it's in the spirit of the MPC 62 and simplified, but it's not the same. I think a lot of enthusiasts would love a one-to-one recreation of certain machines. And we've seen that with the Moog, with the Model D, even Moog, or however you pronounce it. I know I'm pronouncing it wrong. I always do. But Moog has reissued the Model D, one-to-one version, and the Sequential has reissued the Prophet, for example. And Roland brought a take on the Juno and the boutique version of those 808s and 909s. So there is interest in these things. Schematics is internal PCB design, code and source code, probably OS code. Yeah, I think is that. That was an issue with recreating the SP1200 for a while. They couldn't find the OS source code. Yeah, I think the source code is what I meant to say. But again, I'm not an engineer by any means, at least not a programming person, and I'm very uninformed or not knowledgeable in that regard, like with the tech part of it. Even though I've done tech talks, from what I just speak from a point of view of what I understand. So some of my, forgive me for my ignorance, as they say. And thank you for clearing that up. But yeah, I don't know why the ASR has never been like picked up. It could be because of that, because of the source code, right? Like not being able to get that information to make one. Because I do think that a lot of producers will buy one. There's things that are kind of like in the spirit of it. I think even the MPC Key 61 is very it fills that gap in a way, maybe. I mean, I see no ID with one, so and Danger, the producer that worked with Timbaland. So maybe there's something there, right? That we don't need to be using old technology anymore. I saw a quick tour of Timbaland's studio, and he has an ASR-10 in there, but he's using Push, he's using Ableton. So every time, outside of like Kanye or Ye and Jake One, maybe there's others that are still like heavily primarily still on the ASR-10, but I see less and less of the OG users still working on this machine. And it could be because the more you work on it, the more things break, and the harder it is to fix, the more expensive it is to fix, right? But I'll never know. I fix mine as things come up. Had a few broken keys at one point, and I think I showed that on the group, on the Facebook group, me opening it up, me changing it, me ordering the parts and changing it myself. That wasn't that difficult. My screen at some point was losing characters. That hasn't happened for a while, so I don't know if the problem went away. With these things, you never know. They do get a little sensitive depending on the temperature and where you keep them. So, Major, what's up, my brother? Yeah, I said I was gonna be back, and I kept my word. So here we are. Um, Thank you for coming back too, man. Thank you for being back here again. We were talking about ASR emulations that are coming out, the physical and the VST version. And while I was gone, my that existed when the my fault, man. I had to connected my phone to sample off of. I currently don't have a turntable. I've been researching which turntable I'm gonna get now that my Gemini is broken. But yeah, so I've been sampling off of my phone, and also for copyright issues, I tend to sample off of my phone these days when I'm on the channel. When I'm working on my personal projects, I do use vinyl, and I like to sample on these machines via vinyl. So yeah, definitely, bro. This channel is great. I saw they had a VST version, but I wouldn't get it. Yeah, that's what I was saying to Neve the official. Like, I don't know how valuable or useful it would be, because the ASR-10 is. We mentioned it last time, Nino and I. Like, it's not a comfortable per se machine to work on all the time. It's not hard. I think it's fun when you have the physical version, but part of that is also using the physical version. And I saw we're talking about the Tomorrow Network. They clipped the Jake One video and re-released like a section of it like a few hours after my stream. So the ASR-10 is always a hot topic, man. And I'm sure that a lot of the people that come across this channel and this content may be because they're looking for more information about it. So I try to show the process through here. But yeah, let me quickly go through some drum sounds. I want to start with drums. Let me see. I like to see loops. I'm gonna lower the music that I had in the background. All right. So let me check my levels real quick. Is the first order of business whenever you're sampling into the ASR-10. It was even good seeing that the power theme was made on the ASR, which is so dope. Oh yeah, I saw that too. That's fire. Yeah, man. The ASR-10 is an amazing machine. It definitely pushes your limits because you have 8 instruments. You're able to manipulate samples in different ways, and it's kind of like obviously it wasn't made specifically for hip hop, but it was just outside of the way of using like the SP1200 and the MPC. It was the first like this was the first format of this way of working on the sampler, you know, having the keys, the way it's allocating files without using as much memory. At the time, it was ahead of its time. And in a way, it still kind of is, because nothing like it has really come out since. So I'm usually trying to like redline a bit, and by that I look at the input level here on my on the right next to the sample button, right to the left of the sample button. There's either green or red. It's not much of a, you know, it's a meter, but you either get green and then after a while you start getting like a little bit of red. It's either all the way red or it starts to blink a little bit red, which means that you're about to clip or you're already clipping, but not to the point of distortion. So I don't like to clip into distortion, but I do like to give it, you know, some energy going into the sampler. So I'm gonna sample that loop, that drum break rather, and we're gonna use the obviously the features of the ASR to try to find either like kicks, snares, drum rolls, or hi hats. And this is the way that I would work with a vinyl. If I found an open break in a record, I would put that record into the ASR-10. And if I'm not gonna chop up the loop, which if I was, I would put it mostly into the MPC 2000 XL, because as I mentioned, I like working there for drums, and here I like to use melodic samples. But for the sake of this stream, I'm gonna do everything on the ASR. So we're gonna sample into it, and you got different options. You could sample with the effects. You could sample at 44 or 30. At 30, you get more sample time because it's less information, less frequency detail, and it says it's more voices. So it says 31 voice versus 23 voice, but the 44K takes up more memory. So let's do 30K. Sample, input dry left, and by dry left it means A or B, what's connected onto the inputs of the back of the ASR. And then when it says dry is because you could also sample with effects like reverb, compression, chorus, whatever it's on the ASR, you could put that effect, select it in the FX select, and then if you choose to do so, you could put input plus effect. So you could go to where it says input dry and put input plus effect, or you could sample the main out. So that's how you're able to resample into the ASR. The ASR is able to sample whatever is being sent to the main out for resampling purposes. So let's say you have an effects on a snare and you want to take off the effects or not use effects. So you want to print the reverb on that snare or whatever effect. You could put it, sample the main outs, and assign it to another key or whatever. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to sample input dry left, which is what my phone that's connected to my KO2 is on the left side input. So let's go and hit yes. Input dry left, and then pick sample instrument 1 through 8. You could pick any of these instruments. Shuffling data, then I hit enter. Now the ASR is waiting with maxed out 272 seconds of sample time at 30K, that sample option. So I'm gonna hit play on this drum break, and it's recording. Let me do it again. I'm gonna cancel that because I didn't have the input monitoring on. I want you guys to hear it. I'm gonna hit. If you press the instrument button and hit cancel, it'll delete that instrument. That's a shortcut, by the way. So sample, input dry left. Make sure I'm monitoring it. So if the red and the orange is on, that means it's monitoring as well. The Hit enter, pick sample instrument 1. It's waiting. I'm gonna hit play, enter. Okay, so it already went around. The sample is looping. It's saying press play the root key or enter. My fault. So that's basically asking you where you want to place the sample. So the root key could be also if you know the key of your sample. Like if it's in C, if you just sample the single shot note, you could put the piano root key of C here, and then your whole ASR is gonna have the piano mapped by pitch. For this, since it's a drum sound, you could put it anywhere, and as long as I press the key, it'll assign it to that. Or if you hit enter, it'll automatically assign it to middle C. I'm gonna press middle C, and then now my sample lives here. You'll notice once you sample anything into the ASR, it automatically pitches it up and down. So it's pitched up and down. Now my ASR, I don't know if this happens to every ASR, has automatically the pitch envelope assigned, the pitch LFO I mean, to +1. So I go automatically and change that because it adds a wobble effect to my samples, which you may or may not like, but I don't. Not for drums at least, or not in this case. So I take that off, and I always normalize my samples. So I hit Command Amp, normalize gain. That'll give us some time data being processed. Depending on the length of your sampler, this could take a while. And this is, again, what we talk about when we say you need patience to work on the ASR, because while that's happening, you can't do anything else. It was like doing key groups. Does your ASR get hot? Yeah, my ASR just got hot earlier. I try to leave whatever I was doing up, and then the external monitoring stopped working, and I'm guessing because it was starting to overheat. And it gets hot right here by the ASR logo on this side. That's where it gets hot. I heard the purple screen versions don't get hot or as hot. I don't know if that's true because I don't have that version. I have the regular green vacuum tube screen version. So this brought the volume up a bit. Let me hear my original source sample through the monitoring to see if it's at the same level or lower. I don't know if that's even the same sample that I used. I think it was this one. So it doesn't have as much juice as I would like. So what I would do is hit Edit Amp, which is the amp section, and there you could go to the boost side, which is something that most people do. Turn it to on for drums. That's closer to what? That's the original sample, and this is with normalize and boost on the ASR. So yeah, so you could choose to keep, you know, that at the same pitch. You could start messing with lowering. Or messing with whatever you want on the. If you want to keep the original, it's up to you. If not, you can mess around with it. So from here, the way that you normally would chop, you edit the layer pitch mode, pitch table standard, or no pitch. No pitch would make every key be at the same original pitch of the sample. And then you could choose to go to the edit pitch window again and make sure that in your pitch range, or your wave sample range rather, you just put the low and the high to C4. So it assigns the sample to just one key, C4, which is this key here. Now when you go back to edit brings you back to the main screen. Will give you nothing else is on any of the keys. And what's famously talked about in the ASR is the way that it assigns or allocates memory. So now, if I want an exact copy of that sample on any other key, I could copy it 61 times, and it won't take up more memory, because the way that the ASR does it is that it references back the original sample. It copies the parameters only. It doesn't. You could choose to copy parameters and data, but it's not necessary. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit Command Wave, which is wave sample screen, and I'm gonna go to copy wave sample. I went the wrong way. I should have went right instead of left. Copy wave sample to instrument, to unnamed instrument, which is the one that's selected, number 1. To layer 1, you could create multiple layers. So that's another thing. When you create like soundscapes on the ASR, if you want to, you could make multiple layers. You could make a pad layer, a keyboard layer, all on one instrument. So you could have multiple layers on one instrument, and you could have up to 8 instruments. And you could also link those 8 instruments. So there's some individuals that take the ASR to extreme levels, and you could make very complex sounding pads and sounds with the ASR-10 if you know what you're doing. I normally use it on a very rudimentary level to sample drums and samples in the hip-hop fashion. But I'm always trying to learn and watch videos of those sound designers that do use the ASR at a high level when it comes to sound design. So to layer 1, yes, copy params only. So that's what you want to do. You could do params and data, but like I said, you'll just eat up more memory on the limited ASR. And mine is maxed out, by the way. Params only, hit enter, yes. Wave sample 2 was created. Now though, when you go back to the edit screen, you'll see that it says layer 1, wave sample 2. Where's your wave sample 1? So wave sample 1 and 2 are sitting on the same key. So you want to go to the edit pitch window, go to your wave sample range, because wave sample 2 is currently selected. Make the low D and the high D, D4. So now you have wave sample 1 here and a copy of that wave sample here as well. So now you have 2 copies, right? And then the way that I would go ahead and do it, depending how many chops I wanted, is I would make, let's say if I wanted 16 chops of this loop, I would make 16 copies across. So, and I like to chop on the white keys. You could put I could have put the next wave sample up here. Depends how you do it, but I would go like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. If I wanted to, work like I do on the MPC, I would have made 16 chops and put them across that way. So if you guys have any questions so far, as you can see, it's a very involved process to chop or to start chopping on the ASR. So let's say I just want to take this kick. Let me edit wave, and I leave it on forward, no loop. So it's gonna just play the wave sample forward. You could they also have different options there. You could play the sample backwards with no loop. So that's the whole drum sample being played backwards. And I've used the backwards to find, like I think I did a video on that, to find a perfect loop. So I find the end of the sample and I see where there's space and play it backwards. Anyway, you could also loop forward, so it'll play the sample forward and then loop. After it gets to the end, it'll loop forward again. Then you could loop bi-directional. The explanation to that, it's in the manual, but I do believe that it does something where it loops like forward and back. The Ableton sampler does the same thing too. And then there's a loop and release where it loops, I think, once, and then it like lets go of the sample. I don't know, I haven't used that version, that function as much. But let's do forward no loop. So I'm gonna go to the start of the sample. I want to leave it at 0 because the kick hits right away. That's when the sample started being recorded. And then I'll go to the end of the sample, and I'll bring, it's at 99, which is the end of the sample, and I'll bring that number in parentheses all the way down to 0. Now I'm getting nothing, right? So let me put that number up to 1. So I get the kick and like a little cutoff. So now I could go to the fine tune, which is right next to the parentheses, and start to work my way down with the data entry slider. And that's what I was talking about. Like this kind of part of the process is what to me makes the ASR-10 feel like an instrument. And is very like temperamental. I don't know if all sliders feel the same or work the same. So when people chop on the ASR, when they copy the sample across the keys, are they just copying down to the next key and editing the start point? I believe so. There is another way to chop, which I've seen Jake One use at times, which is kind of like an auto chop where you modulate the start of the sample by the keyboard. You use the keyboard as a mod source, and then it automatically assigns different start points to your whole sample that's inside the keyboard, if that makes sense. But yeah, essentially what you're doing is that you're making copies of the sample over and over again and editing the start point. That's correct. That's the way that I do it, at least. I tried doing that with the non-destructive chopping on the 2500. Yep. Where all the chops have the ending of the main sample and it lets you do some cool stuff with rhythms. Exactly. So yes, the 2500 does have, that is the same idea. That is the same idea. So and you could also use it this way, right, where I'm finding one shots. So I would use that to so that's just a kick from that sample. And then I could start the next one, the next chop. I could start it at the snare, or if I'm trying to make the loop go in a rhythmic way, maybe I'll go to the hi-hat, and then do. And so this one, this wave sample 2, edit wave sample 2, I could go to edit wave, sample start. Instead of 0, I would try to find where that snare, somewhere around 2 it starts. Use your ear because there's no waveform on the screen, so you would have, it's numbers, but then depends how much air you want to leave in front of it. How do you like to chop? And then you could go to the end point or leave it, right? So you could, and then like you said, you could do cool things with the rhythm. But I'm going to try to just get a snare out of this. Sample end. Then I go up usually. See that there's a cutoff and start using the data entry slider too. So and then you could get another kick to get variation, or a ghost kick, etc. So that's how I would start. You could start creating a drum kit that way, and it's non-destructive, like you said, just like your 2500 is a non-destructive. But yeah, the ASR-10 has a non-destructive way of chopping. Creating my bad. I'm using my phone to sample, so when I play that back, is playing from the video. I'm using the phone to also look at the chat because my computer monitor is a little bit off screen. So let's say we have a kick, a snare. We could copy wave sample 2, command wave, copy wave sample to unnamed instrument, layer 1, params only. Sample 3 was created. And like we said, sample 3 is now sitting on the same key. So we go to edit pitch. We could edit the range to be E4 instead of D4. And now we have 2 snares instead of 1 because we made a copy of it, right? But then we could go to edit wave and start to mess with the start of the next copy. Let me open up the end mark. So that's a hi-hat there on the 4. And you could mess with something like that where you might just want to like keep more than just the one hit of the hi-hat. And then you could keep like a little bit of a So just because I kept that tinka, right? That's what I could call it. It's like the hi-hat with the little stutter. I'm not a drummer, but now I could make my own drum pattern off of this 3 chops, right? Which is fun right away because I wouldn't do this in a DAW. I would have just probably, let me take the snare and clip it and cut it, zoom in on the waveform. But this allows me to think different. And it's like, okay, maybe instead of just chopping the hi-hat by itself, I could take that little and I could start going into the sequencer right away. That's already a drum pattern, right? Maybe not the craziest, but let's see. Let's go into the sequencer. Let's go into the sequencer. My fault. Edit sequence. Sequence 1. Go to the side. Set the BPM that you want. Let's try 86. My birth year. And then you will start and hit record play, shuffling data. And then hit stop. 2 bars, keep track, yes. Let's see. Quantize that. You can or keep it or try it again. Command track, quantize track is what comes up. Track 1, yes. Quantize to 1.4. Maybe we'll quantize to 1.8. Hit yes, entire track range. So that's where you could choose whether you just want to quantize the snare or the kick. By range, it'll ask you to pick. Like you want to quantize from C1 to C4 or from C4, all of them. I put entire track, let's say. Then it asks you keep old and new. And if you highlight old, it'll play the old version. If you highlight new and hit play, it'll play the new version. See, that's the new version. So maybe you want to keep the old version and do it again. And also because this sample was originally at a different tempo, maybe my timing is not working out. It's a little bit slower than the original tempo, so it could be that as well. So there's different ways. Obviously, you could stretch the hi-hat, you could pitch it down to make it fit better. But let's see. There's different creative ways to make that line up. Let's see the old version. And what I'll do is I'm gonna edit sequence. I think this was at 90. The original break was at 90. All right, let's see something. Command contract. So that's a little bit better. I think I could do it better. Let me see. Let me cancel that. Stop. Keep the old. And that's how you would go about like doing different takes. And then let me see. Edit track quantize. Sometimes unquantized sounds better. Yeah, let me see. Again, there was a take there that I did before that I liked, but you can't go back. So it's a little bit off beat. You could keep going. I'm gonna keep going because that's what I do. I'm a masochist, and I'm gonna quantize it to 1.4. Let me see. Keep the old one. I think actually, if I quantize it, probably to like 1.16. Yeah, so that to me will be like a starting point. And I'm gonna hit keep new, yes. Last time what I did too is mess a bit with the release. So let me see in the amp envelope, because that could also mess up your timing a bit. Yeah, like if you want it to sound a little bit more natural on the release, you could go to edit envelope 3, which is the amp envelope. And you go to the side, it says current value. I go to where it says the times velocity. And I go all the way to the end to the 10 because it's ADSR, I believe. That's how it's lined up. The manual will give you more information about that, but it has digits here. In this time section, 0, 64, 52, 40, and 20. Start messing with these numbers to give you a different release. And you could play the sequence while you're messing with that to see how it affects the timing or the way that your sample is being cut off, etc. So I like that better. So what I did there was I took the release or the times value from 20 all the way at the end. So that's how it'll be by default, at least on mine. And I put it up to 44, and it started giving me more air on the sample. And I could play it back. I'm gonna put it back to 20 so you guys could see, like, hear the difference. See how choppy, and you might like that already, right? But I was going for, like, I want the sample that I chopped to sound a little bit. It sounds different than the original, but I don't want it to sound as static and choppy and robotic. So at 20, it sounds like this. And then at 44, it sounds like this. I could hear some more of the noise. Like, it's releasing the sample. It's giving it more air. I don't know if you guys can hear that. I can. And that's how I work on the ASR. Like, I get my chops. I sequence something in because I start to hear already, like, okay, I could take. Those are the 3 chops that I have, and I could make my own drum pattern off of the whole. I took a very long loop or break and started chopping it. And then from there, you could start adding even more stuff. Like, there was a cool open hat that was in that sample that we could play around with. And also playing around with the amp envelope release, we get a more sounding drum loop. I quantized it to 116. I tried 1/4. I tried 1/8. It was messing up my timing. And at finally, like at 116 timing quantized setting, it kept my original feel that I played it in with, but still gave me that the timing that I wanted, right? So let me all right, so that's like the basic pattern of it, or like the main pattern that I heard when I started chopping this. I'm gonna create another copy just so I could get an open hat somehow. So let me go to Command Edit and then Command Wave, copy wave sample, yes. To unnamed instrument, yes. To layer 1, yes. Params only, yes. Now I have wave sample 4, and remember, it's gonna put it over wave sample 3. So now there's 2 there. Let me go to edit pitch, and the wave sample range, I want it to be on the next key, which I like to use the white keys, F. So now we have 2 of these, 3 and 4. Now I'm gonna mess around, edit wave, and I'm gonna open up the end mark of this sample, put it all the way up to 99, and go to the start point of it, so I can find that open hi-hat. And I use the big numbers, the small numbers in parentheses because I could skim through the sample faster. So you can also take another snare here if you wanted, another kick. There's my hi. That's my open hat that I was looking for. Yeah, brother. Yeah, if you have Scuzzy already saved with that, like I said before, man, I'm a masochist, and then if I just had, I like to go through this process 100 times because it makes you better at sampling, or at using your ASR. But yeah, I have discs. I have I mentioned Jake earlier. Like, I have the Jake 1 that I loaded it all up onto floppy disk. So if I want to start quick, I do that, and I also have. Right here, if I put my beta monitor, I have a bunch of samples loaded onto my MPC, but this is also to, like, when I sample into key, it automatically makes 16. Oh yeah, man, you can have programs like that. Yeah, bro, that is smart. That is very smart. But when you work on it all day like you do, bro, you start to create ways to make it more efficient. But I'm kind of like assuming that you just turned on your ASR for the first time. You made the stupid decision of buying one in 2026. Nah, I'm just kidding, man. All love to the ASR. That's fire, bro. That's fire. And yo, Nino, that's why, bro, everybody, I think it's valuable for other users to also have channels too. And like even here, if you explain it, to show how to do that, bro. But yeah, man, you see, we already like many minutes in, and all I got is a drum pattern, a very basic drum pattern, and I'm also explaining it as I go. So I think that would defeat the purpose, because I would just be like, oh, there we go. I have that, like I said, like also with the program when that you supported. We find ways. Like I have a program in my MPC that automatically maps everything to the keys, so it matches, and same way with your auto chop. I mean your copies ready to chop. But yeah, I do it manually most of the time, cause I find it fun too, bro. Like I don't know, I find these things fun to do. So yeah, so then my open hat is somewhere here. So somewhere in between 46 and 47. 47, I would think. And then bring it back down. And then I would go, you could also then start using the filter, because there is another hit there that I might not want, like the low end. I go through all of this, and I like to hear like what's the limit, that how far I could push a sample. So I'm trying to get rid of that swoosh. You could use the command fade, the command amp fade out function. Or you could use the data entry slider. But yeah. Yeah, bro. That's exactly what it is, man. When you want like a fast way to do stuff, you figure out like how do you make this more efficient, cuz this can't be the only way. Yeah. So yeah, that's a lot of it is discovery, man. You could read things, but until you get in front of your keyboard and do it yourself, you're like, "Oh, nah, the way this guy was doing it doesn't make sense. I could do this." But again, that's what's unique about the machine, is that the way that everybody does something on samplers is not the same. Like again, I always reference that, like the Pete Rock Scratch Magazine video, because I know a lot of people have seen it. But he says it specifically. He's like, yo, like, look, on this 2000 XL, like, this is the way that I do it. But I don't know how other people do it, because you could find different ways to work on a sample on the same machine. The way that you do it is going to be very unique to your workflow, like Nino has mentioned before that he works solely on the ASR-10. I do a hybrid of like ASR-10, MPC, the DAW. So maybe like I don't need as much efficiency because I try to get off of the ASR-10 quick once I'm already down with a good idea, what I think is a good idea. I try to print because my ASR-10 bugs out a lot. And I don't know if it just needs servicing or if I let it get too hot, but it doesn't work like you could just it's gonna give out at some point. You know what I mean? So that scares me at moments where I know I can't get my work back, and I don't save. I don't use the SCSI, even though I have SCSI, and I have like 3 old SCSI big hard drives along with the Zulu. I don't use it. I don't use it. 3000 has a tactic K amount as a parameter. I had to really dig into the amount of the 3000 to understand what it did because it drove me crazy. Basically, amount on the 3K is cutoff formula Kai made for that machine that is percentage based and applies. Okay. I've never used a 3000, so I'm lost on that regard, but it's good to be able to kind of put two and two together, just like how Neve the official mentioned that this non-destructive chop on the 2500 is very similar to the ASR-10 way that most people chop. I work a lot on my keyboard. It just makes me think different, but also gives me my sound. Yeah, that's why everyone, tries to use like some unique piece of gear, because it does make it easier to define yourself. Oud Wood 214, man, what's up? Peace, peace. Thank you for joining us. And you can replicate that for sure in an ASR, but I need to find the right combo of envelope 2 cutoff and envelope 3 in parallel. You'll figure it out, Nino. That's a good project for this week, like you said, and come back and tell us about it when you do, because you always give gems. And I would love, man, to see one time like an explanation of the way you create that program to automatically give you 16 chops. The nice thing on the 3000 is so simple. When you adjust the envelope to shape, it's fast and great sounding. Yeah, man, the 3000 is 3000 is one of my dream like things that I do want. And you had me searching for a 4000, bro. Like you convinced me that it's amazing, but I don't know if I would cop the 4. I think I would just go with the 3. I'm not sure what I would do because I'm not in the market for another vintage MPC. I'm still in love with my 2K XL, and I don't want to get something that's gonna make me neglect it. So there's that. So we got somewhat of a hi-hat sample here. Open hat, I mean. So I will keep opening the sample end until I find when that switch starts. You could keep some of it. Let's see. Let's see if we use the we could use the command fade out. Like right there, and then you go edit, command amp, fade out, and it'll tell you where you want to start. Put like 97, end address 99, and then it'll ask you the scale depth. Leave it on the default 3 dB. Copied wave sample, okay. You want to add the fade out to this copied wave sample. Let's see. Data being processed. We all want a 3000. Isn't that the truth, GearTube? What up, GearTube? Yeah, man. 4K works like an ASR, actually. It speaks modulation. Yeah, man. That's why I would be like, since everybody wants a 3000, let me just get a 4000 because it also has more features. I never wanted a 3K, but that's me. 4K was always the one, but I like depth in the machines to keep digging into. 3K is an awesome device, though. Yeah, man, it's the classic. So the depth wasn't enough. So that's kind of when was talking with Alex Yala before too, man. You got audition stuff. It shows you the old and the new. If it didn't work, you keep the old. Saving old data. Redo fade out. And it's asking you a question. So you hit yes. I'm gonna pick lower start address. Cause you can't see the waveform where you're starting. You kind of have to guess. And then try it. Let me put the depth up. Scale depth to 6. And let's try that again. Data being processed. You start to have dreams about these words flashing. I'm gonna keep the old and do it again. Go to 90 instead of 96 to 99. Yeah, bro. I try not to I really like sometimes because of the questions. I just be talking more but when I work, I really go like I do things mad times until I get it how I want it. Almost where I wanted it. Redo fade out. Data being processed. My favorite thing too is the envelope, bro. Like editing the amp envelopes to get different release times when I'm chopping. That's something that I love doing on the ASR. And I think a lot of the times too is just like this could take for some people it takes a while, but I like to really like make my sample sound with how I hear it in my head. Yeah, bro, you could really zen out working on these machines. So some people it's frustrating though, man. They're like, oh, I ain't going through all of that just to get a clean open hat. But to each his own, man. That's part of the to us that love you working on these machines. That's part of the love, man. That's part of the zen. That's part of the meditation, to be honest. That's why I make little like fake commercial clips like that because I feel like it'll give you the feel of inspiration without having to see a 2 hour live stream of somebody messing with an open hat. Okay, I mean, it's not what I wanted, but whatever. I'm gonna keep the new data. Command is completed. The ASR is like, all right, I'm done fading this out for you. So now I could also go back into the edit wave. And mess a bit more with maybe the release. Now I'll mess with the release of the envelope here. But just for that wave sample. Edit wave sample 4, edit amp. I'm in the amp envelope, edit, which is envelope 3. Let me put all the way down. also have that second release. Yeah, I'm just messing with the parameters on the. Okay, let me see. Add that hi hat and start listening to like melodic samples. I had it on replace, so I'm gonna hit old, and I'm gonna go to sequence to the side and put it on record instead of replace add. Okay, edit this time thing. And then also you could hit edit wave all instead of wave sample just one by one. You could affect the filters one by wave sample. You could put it across all the wave samples. Let me catch up with the chat. This Mazen, this actual ASR use they don't show you in the movies. Yeah, man, you don't see that on the Tomorrow Network. You're gonna be like, yo, that the beat was already made. It already went platinum. This is how he made it. But working on this machine puts me in the mindset of producers work back in the day. They had to use what they had. It also makes me not make 20 tracks in a day. I like to take my time. Yeah, A major. That's why before quantity, it was quality over quantity. Now it's the opposite. It's how many beats you can make. It's like how to make 100 melodies in one day. Only downside with this machine is I love it so much I could get sidebarred. Just make bro. But that's not you getting work done. Like I think we've gotten the misconception that like working on drums alone. Like I saw what's this guy's name, man? I always like go blank on the producer name. The dude that works with Kendrick, that he works in Ableton, but he was talking about how he just has drum days. He just does drums patterns and making his own patterns, and he just curating drums. He decided that he's not gonna make any beats. I think it starts with a D. His name. I'm drawing a blank. And then he'll just make drums, samples, and then one day when he's working on a musical idea, then he's putting it all together. Sunwave, maybe it's him. But but yeah, bro, like you don't have to like just make a whole beat every time too. That is the way that a lot of people would work. Is like, yo, like today is just drum. Like, oh yeah, there you go. DJ Dahi, yeah, DJ Dahi. Udwood, thank you, man, for clarifying that. It's just drums, bro. Sometimes, and even Mike Dean said it, bro. Ye be having the drum boot camp day, so they just bring in the MPCs and rework drums for a bunch of songs. So there might be a day that you come up with a lot of song ideas, and then you start replacing the drums. So I'm just kind of showing some of the features that the ASR-10 has for doing that. Let's put let's hit left on the layer. Now it says layer 1 wave sample all. So when I go into my edit filter parameter, it'll start adding the filter EQ to the whole thing, to all the wave samples instead of to just one. And I could have just, let me actually, instead of doing that, let me add it to just that open hat. So we still got, let's say this, I kind of want to filter it just by itself. I go to edit wave sample 4, then go to edit filter, because now I'm just gonna have that filter effect that only that wave sample. Maybe I'll use a different filter. Instead of the first one that it comes up, I use one of these ones that edit filter. Open up the low end a bit. So that got rid of some of the low end frequency information that I didn't want and was trying to get rid of with the fade out. It still has the fade out, and then it also has some filter applied to the. I didn't like that that kick was hitting with the open hat, so I'm using the filter to cut off the kick, and then you could bring it all the way back to see how much of it you want to get rid of. Maybe I want to keep some of it because I don't want to lose too much of the character of the weight. Around there sounds okay. Okay, and then on these other ones, maybe I want to go here and do some filtering there. Sound a little darker on the snare. Check out maybe I want to get rid of some of that top end on the kick. Get rid of some more of that top end too on this. I got it all the way open. Let me darken it up a bit. But yeah. That's just an example of what I would do mentally, right? This is not I'm trying not to criticize. It's not the greatest creation in the world. Let me see. Let me catch up with the chat. How long have you had your ASR for? That's a question for Nino. Nino says, "Oh, now practice days are good, but I'm saying just making sounds all day can be a never-ending dive with diminishing return. Remember, Ninth had like 5 sounds. Yeah, that's true. That's why I'm always loading up like almost the same sounds, or I pick an era where I'm just like, all right, on the MPC right now, I'm like, these are the sounds that I'm gonna have all the time. Like I'm gonna have those sounds mostly just loaded up all the time, just as a standard, so I don't go down that rabbit hole. But on this video specifically, I wanted to show how you could take like a break and start taking sounds off of it, lifting sounds off of it, using the envelopes to make sure the release and like make your own patterns. That's what I wanted to show. And then we'll like add a melodic sample over this or something. I got my ASR in '06 or so. Damn, yeah. So I was almost finishing college in '06, and I got my ASR 8 years after you did. So you definitely been through that pain for longer. But I used all my MPCs for years and only slaved the ASR when wanted, then just all MPC again because I didn't have space for ASR, so it sat in a closet. Excuse me, man. It's getting up to that time soon. Then a couple years back, I decided to make myself deal with the bad of the ASR and use it solely to find workarounds to see if I could break its common issues. Yeah, yeah, good call with the high pass filter. I was gonna say something. Lawrence 1-3, what's up, brother? And maybe raise the attack a little. Yeah, bro. Now we was just diving into the envelope of it. Let me see in the times. Soft velocity, hard velocity is all the way up, so that could be it too. So yeah, in the hard velocity section of it, we start to see like softens it up a bit. You start messing with the numbers and seeing what it does. So it starts to soften up the sound because we are messing there with the attack. That's a little bit more. Yeah, so that has also like, that bounce too that I would like. And then from here, I like to listen to samples with drums over it already. Um yeah, the attack could get complicated because you have to go through the hard velocity, soft velocity. There's a second release screen. There's a lot. It's a lot to tweak, and you kind of like you start to understand it the more you use it. And if you read the manual, obviously it'll tell you what each thing is describing, and it even has a ADSR diagram that shows you what you're affecting. So it's not random, but it's just the way that a lot of us, and by us I mean people in the hip hop culture and community, we just punch things until it starts to give us the sound that we want. And that's obviously probably not the best way to go about it, but that's the way a lot of creatives use machines. It's just like I mean, Alchemist talked a lot about that. When he had the ASR, he was like just doing things until it did what he wanted it to do. And these machines are great to work in that fashion. Where an NPC is like 2,000, you're there because attack and ASR isn't just a level. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. The time and level are independent parameters, unlike a normal ADSR that tweaks for you. Yep, that's what I said in a very dumb way. I'm just kidding, man. It's getting late, but yeah, I personally just go into the amp envelope section of the ASR and I start to tweak the numbers until it sounds the way I want, because I'm not gonna do the math. I'm just gonna hit that data slider until it starts to give me back what I want from it. There's 3 envelopes for every sound simultaneously with 5 levels and 5 times, and they all interact. ASR has attack, decay, sustain, release. Yeah, that's true. That's why you have, in every section you have 5 numbers, um, per those levels, like you said, the hard velocity, the soft velocity. Tap Records, what up? I haven't seen you around here, but you're welcome to be here, brother. Glad to have you here, and we can't wait till you get your ASR back, man. Sorry, attack, decay, sustain, release, then second window, second release. Yeah, bro. It's not the normal way that a lot of samplers are set up. So you do have to start to the best way is this, like what I'm doing now, because you could read the manual, but until you put a sample through it and start tweaking it, and I'm sure Nino, you've worked on countless samples, so you already kind of you feel your way around it now more. You're like, oh, now when I want this from it, I know to go to hard velocity, mess with the third digit number, which stands for this, and then I know what's the sweet spot for it. You gotta like use it yourself to start finding the sweet spot for the thing you want it to do. And then there's multiple ways to start to get there, right? Like with the open hat, I'm like, oh, it has a little whoosh at the end. Maybe I could fade that out, but I could also change the ending of the sample. Then I could also go into the envelope and start messing around with the release and how fast it's cutting it. So you start to troubleshoot every time depending on what you want from it in your head. And then you go to that window and you're like, oh, the sample's too low. Let me boost it. Nah, I distorted it too much. Let me take that off. But let me do this, lower that. So it's like you don't think like this if you're not using an ASR or if you're not using a physical machine to manipulate your samples. Even on my time testing, it's still hard to comprehend, to be honest. Yeah, that's the thing that people that don't use the ASR, that fall in love with the idea of it, don't get. Like I said, I'm using envelope 2 now, and I've always just ignored it. Yeah, bro, I go straight for envelope 3. But that's like when I'm not on camera, or like when I'm working with way more time and not just like, and I'm experimenting. I like to do the things that I do know on stream, and teach like how I would approach a regular beat without like going too far into certain sections, because that's exploration heaven, man. Let's go to envelope 2, man. That's the filter envelope. And then envelope 1 would be the pinch envelope. So yeah, you can mess with the way the filter is also affecting that sound. And they have presets too, so it's on current value. You could go full on, all zeros, start at full range, slow string, piano decay, percussion, ramp up, ramp down, short blip, brass filter, repeat, triangle, repeat ramp, wind pitch, and then a saved envelope, so you could save a parameter. I like to go to the like 99, put everything on 99 and see what happens. Here's a trick. Envelope 2 doesn't actually do anything unless you do edit filter, then change the numbers there first. Yeah, where it says like mod. Okay, yeah, no, I see it now. Envelope 2 amount. So you got to add envelope amount to F1 and F2. That makes sense. So yeah, when I was doing stuff on there, wasn't doing anything at all. Yeah, so there now it's affecting it. So you see, great to have you here always, Nino. Yeah, I just got to the envelope amount. Maybe there's a so yeah, then it starts to and out to 99. Yeah, I see. I had the envelope amount, and then the cutoff right now is by default on 109, and F2 is on 39. So like you said, it said initial cutoff to 0 on both. So we're setting it to 0, and then amount and out. Need initial cutoff too. My bad. Yeah, so I think I also had already messed with the I was messing with the values already on the filter. Yeah, so see all zeros, I'm not getting anything. Full range. So you hear that effect there, that's because of that. Like the settings that Nino was saying, you go into the edit filter page and you start editing the envelope amount, how much of it is going, how much is affecting based on the value. The cutoff is on 0 for both right now. And then F2 mod is on press. F1 mod is on press. And you could even have on pedal, wheel, pitch. I'm gonna play around with that even more, man. Thanks, Nino, for clarifying that, because I was always like, why doesn't this do anything? You'll get a variable filter. You can use it to gate drums without adjusting the actual filter page for low and high. Dope, dope. Thank you, Tap Records, man. Thank you for your sub, and thank you for being here, bro. There's a lot to learn. As you can see, we're diving deep, and as the channel continues to grow, I'm gonna keep doing deeper dives, and not just, the check-ins will be probably in the beginning of the week or when I don't have a lot of time, and then maybe in the late night when I'm able to get on, I'll do some of these deeper dives. Yeah, bro. No, bro, the envelope, and that's where I messed up, like learning the trans wave stuff. I couldn't follow. I couldn't follow some of the things that were being done by the people that make like pads with the ASR-10, because my dream is to continue to learn the ASR where I'm just not like, because sometimes it's time, right? Time is the defining factor of how much you can learn on these things, and then you're like, nah, man, I just want to make a beat. I want drum sounds. I want a sample, and a lot of these beats are not that difficult. You could see this dude like that remakes a lot of the beats. I am Music Mago, whatever, on Logic. He's making them. It's like some of them are just a sample with a few drum sounds over it. And you could recreate a lot of these things in Logic. You don't need an ASR, but then you start to realize like it's just about like maybe finding the right drum, finding the right sample, and if that's what you want, that's fine. But I want to use my ASR to make like these beautiful pads that I've seen, a lot of other producers that use, or sound designers that use the ASR make, and understanding the envelope parameters and how to work the ASR in that fashion is that's the first step, man. The ASR is also able to generate a tone, and then from that tone you could create endless things with the ASR without having a sample in the ASR. You could create a wave sample. So you go to create wave sample, and then you get that tone, and you could go crazy with that. Peace, Tap, man. Thank you for stopping by, bro. Looking forward to having you here again. But yeah, man, the ASR is immensely powerful. See if we could listen to some samples. What BPM am I on? All right, 90. I'm yawning. I gotta go to bed soon, man, cause real life is happening, and I got work earlier than usual tomorrow. Nah, bro, don't worry about it. That's just me because I don't want like people that have their kids watching that hear me say things. But you can curse as much as you want. 100% the stuff I'm deep diving is considered a waste of time to most beat makers, but I want to master it to make my own sound and use my own stuff and all in the ASR. To me, that's fulfilling. Yeah, bro. I'm the same way, bro. I be watching like these Serum 2 deep dives, and I want to learn. I want to always learn how to like sound design. I don't care if I could buy a pack. Like, what's the fun in that sometimes? Like, yes, if you want to get there quickly, that's more efficient. But there are some of us that want to deep dive, and I want this channel to be more of that. But like, I don't represent myself as being like an authority on the ASR. I'm learning too, and I want to show and document that process. And it's great to have people like yourself, Nino. I'm always shout you out because you're like a library of great information, bro. And I'm learning. I'm like, oh, maybe if I get on, I could learn something on my ASR. Like, to be able to also learn from from your community base. That's not really heard of that much, man. There's always people like selling you their courses and that they're the expert, not being humble and being like, hey, wait, I could learn from my community too. And I don't think that many communities exist like that because everyone's trying to sell their expertise to the community. Yeah. Nah, of course. We always gonna keep it hip hop. Just our approach is always gonna keep it hip hop because we're tinkerers. Like, I liked when you described Daydream like that too. But we are the tinkerers as well, man. And that's the curious minds that continue to evolve the culture because you're not just settling for the basic. And we've discussed this before. Like, what the ASR does for a lot of people is just kind of like just touching on 5% of his potential. If that. So it's good that we're willing to go deeper because that's gonna even push the culture of the ASR forward and the culture of the music too. Make the music sound amazing. But why the ASR is so amazing, every producer sounds different. Why? Because no one had a path. There's no one way to ASR. Yeah, yeah, yep. That's what I was touching on earlier when I mentioned Pete Rock. Is like the MPC has some of that too, but the ASR is like, no. There's many ways. Some people don't do the pitch standard or no pitch thing. They just copy the sample and then they have to edit the pitch every time. So then also, like you said, you have a program that automatically copies it 16 times for you. I've seen a calculator that exists to make you get a perfect loop, and then you could put the numbers in to get you perfect chops per beat. So there's an infinite amount of ways to get to the same place, and that is the beauty of the ASR. Yeah, yeah. Imagine if I think Mexico scored a goal right now, the World Cup, because I hear my neighbors screaming. Shout out to Mexico. Yeah, man. Imagine if Jake One was making his own pads, but he got like a crazy collection of synths too. So he probably is like, nah, I don't need that part of it. But let the guys go crazy on that. Let me hear some samples with the drum. Sometimes when you have a drum break, even though it's a little loose, like I would say this one is, you hear it over some melodies, and it'll start giving you more ideas. I think I went through this pack already. Trying to find chords or a melodic. Man. Jazzy, lo-fi, these drums. Man. This is kind of like, oh, this is beats only, so it's only gonna have drums. There was a dope pack that I had on my hard drive, but I'm kind of just going through this tape and dust. None of them did all of it. Then you have RZA, who mastered the act of being off with his sample breaks and patterns. He was doing drunk loops before anyone else even credited. Yeah, man. He was, bro, when I listened to like all the RZA stuff and the jizza that he was doing, like just all the work that he was doing, I'm like, wow. Makes me want to keep getting more Ensoniq stuff, like the EP16 he was using too, and the MV 8800 or whichever version he used was probably inspiring a lot of those methods, right? A lot of times I don't even know what samples I'm gonna look at when I get on here, but none of that is catching my ear. Let's keep looking. Let's keep digging. I'm digging through Splice to not get copyright strikes, but I feel like I've gone through everything on here, man. I don't know if any of y'all feel like that sometimes. That's why I like listening to vinyls, because there's stuff there that obviously nobody else is gonna have, or that's been had already. Like if you get the popular ones that's already been sampled. Something like that has a busy bass line. Yeah. Nah, Nino, I feel that too. I like hits too, one chance. Lately, I've been like trying to hear a lot of like certain loops that I could flip. But I'm not liking stuff with vocals already on it anymore. Y'all was messing with this one, or y'all was talking about another one that I played? I think it might have been that one. I like this one too. It's kind of like empty. Nah, Nino, that's why I be having it there too, cause sometimes like when you layer it, it's like it gives it that extra push that'll make it sound like you didn't just take a drum loop and let me sample this real quick with the voice note method that I normally use. Let me turn off the mic real quick. My phone's on 3%. Charge your phones, man. I'm the king of like having my phone die on me. Yeah, man. I feel like you guys are cooking up with me, bro. That's how I wanted this community to keep going. That's why it was hard when I only had like one person in here. Now it was that at least if I know if Nino and Major and Lawrence Fish are here, man, I feel like I'm cooking with others, bro. I'm not just in the room by myself. It's a great feeling, man. Let me put this into the ASR so I could charge my phone real quick, man. So now I'm gonna listen to this. Good thing I caught the beginning of it. So let me see where my levels are at with the ASR. Could be a little louder. So I'm gonna do that. Gonna sample. I've been using 30 now. At least for this beat. Sample, input, dry. Where am I? Left. Yeah, input, dry, left. Pick sample number 2. Enter. Now it's waiting. Okay. Let me go back to the chat. I gotta charge it. My chat is going on this. Ensoniq, welcome back, bro. This is the continuation of when I left earlier. I came back. Oh man, you know Nino, bro, you in good hands. Hold on, let me disconnect the charger that's charging my battery on my camera so I could charge the phone. Yes, I'll be using my phone, like I said, to look at the chat because my old eyes, my eyes ain't getting better, I'll tell you that. I have an external monitor. It's off screen, but it's not. Let me take this off of low power mode now that I'm charging it. It's not as I guess like large the chat as I would like it to be. So I'm gonna just chop this loop the same way that I heard it when I was playing the beat back. I'm gonna normalize it. For this, I'm gonna keep the actual like the LFO the pitch LFO on it, cause I might like that wobble that I always complain about. So while it's doing that, nice to see you, Ensoniq. I like how you spell Sonic, you know, and Sonic. I'm 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 sure that was probably intentional, cause If you're here, you're probably also an ASR masochist. That's what I'm gonna start calling all of us, cause we love the torture of using the ASR ASR-10. Nah, it's a fun machine to use, man. It's a fun sampler to use. So I caught a little bit of a tail end of that edit. Let me see where I would start. And then I'll filter more of that. Put that drum loop in the back, kind of like what Nina was saying earlier. Let me just append this sequence, which will make it longer. Currently is only a 2-bar loop. So I'm gonna go to command sequence, make it. Now it's 4. I'm gonna make it 8 bars. Let me read the chat. I'm gonna append it again. So now it should be 8. I like that little LFO thing though right now. So it is 8 bars. Let me catch up to the chat. Hey, FREEPLAY meant to say this earlier. The ASR music in general is universal. I do deep house and drum and bass with myself, but still like kicking it with you all. Yeah, bro. We happy to have you here, bro. It's definitely not all hip hop. We were talking about that earlier. The sound design power of the ASR-10 and just the ethos, man, of the community, the spirit of the community, man. I met a person at work one time that the homie has an ASR. He made countless hits. He made a house hit, I believe, that went crazy big, like, and he did it all with the ASR-10. He was telling me, and we were standing right next to each other. I feel like, man, people that love ASRs are just like a different breed, bro, and we find each other. You had an ASR since '93. Wow, bro, you had it since it came out. Since it came out. Okay, you could adjust the LFO thing automatically. Yeah, like I heard about that. Like you could have it load up with certain settings. Okay, I know what you mean. Saving it to my startup, to my OS. Mine too, bro. My ASR wasn't even made when mine was. I think we looked at it. It was November 30th, '94. I think that's what I said. Yeah, it has the birth date on the back. So yeah, I would turn it off and save the parameter to disk. I'm gonna do that soon, but sometimes I like leaving it on because then I won't mess with that feature if it's not. I don't know. It's like when you already figured out like that's how you work. But yeah, no, I've read that too, that you could save that to the OS disk that you have so that it loads up with certain settings. And the sample is kind of dope. trigger. I'm gonna look that up in the manual for you and see if I can figure it out. If you don't figure it out before me. Oh, you're one of the Zulu Scuzzy guys too, man. I got Zulu Scuzzy. Still don't know how to use it. I have a hate and love relationship with the LFO thing because I love how it sounds on some samples. So that's why I always leave it on. But on drums, I turn it off. See, like here, it's not bothering me. It's not bothering me at all there. Let me see if I could even like sometimes adjust it more. You see, that's crazy, bro. Yeah, like I like it sometimes. See, I got it on 2 there. And it's on 1 usually on mine. Oh, okay, okay. I have some Scuzzy that the person that sold it to me gave me. They're in another container over there. Oh shit, my fault. Damn, see? Me trying not to curse. Well, it's late night, man, so we're all adults here. I let a few curse words slip out. That's just like me trying to keep the YouTube like kid friendly in a way. If somebody's like, "Why you watching that guy stream? He's always cursing." If it's like some little kid that ends up falling in love with the ASR and watches my videos, so that's why I'd be trying not to curse. But I have a bad habit of cursing a lot in real life. Like trying to work on that too. Let me hear this. I'm gonna filter this first one out a bit more. Change that envelope for this. Yeah, like that kind of. Let me change the volume. still don't even know how to use my. I got it right here. I got the Zulu. Nino's gonna give me a crash course one day, but I don't even have anything to save on it. I just wanted to like start saving my work on it, but I gotta catch up, bro. I'm like, this is one thing I haven't been able to figure out. It's good to know though that they're an awesome company. I supported them because of the concept of it. You know, I haven't dealt with them. Now let me I'm gonna actually delete that wave sample because that open hat is annoying me now. Command wave. Delete wave sample. Delete wave sample 4. Yes. Okay. I mean, I had it. I was using it for a while. Maybe I should just start using it again. Yeah. I just need to connect it. I have a what is it on here? 8 gigs. Yeah. I'm going to give it a shot soon cuz I am going to start saving some of these ideas more cuz I've been doing YouTube like streams whenever I do stuff on YouTube, especially cuz I don't know where I'm going to take it. I'll be going to sleep. I turn off the ASR and most of the stuff, 98% of it, I don't save it. So this beat is probably not gonna get saved, to be honest. But maybe like if I had the Zulu and it was easy, I'd be like, oh, you know what? I took mad long chopping that drum loop. Let me at least keep the drum instrument, you know, and then I could start working from there next time too. Thanks, Ensoniq, for motivating me to use this thing that I spent money on. Yes. See, that's the part that intimidates me a bit. That folder structure. I have it on the thing. I have the manual right here. I just haven't figured out a way to put to. And yo, I know this is not. This is probably like is frowned upon because I was on the Ensoniq forum on Facebook asking about this, but there's a way to put the Wave Boy stuff on this, man. That'll be fire, bro. I'm not paying like $300 for those discs, floppies, even though they still sell it. So you know, I don't encourage pirating. I buy all my stuff. Yeah, bro. I know what you mean. It's the file management that always thing. But once you understand that, I heard it's not that hard. But yeah, I was also trying to figure out how to download images and put it on here, and I think that's what also messed me up a bit. I put this input level mad high. Now my MPC is distorting, which I'm not mad at, man. That sounds. I love how the. So that's how the ASR. I mean, sounds distorted on the input. That's almost all the way distorted. It's still. It's crunchy, man. This is how it would hit without it being distorted. No, that's still a little bit very in the red. Let me sample that into another instrument. Um, yeah, I have it in there. Yeah, bro. Wave Boys is it looks like crazy. I never used it, but I heard great things about it. I also converted Daydreams disc because I'm not using this in the sawdust thing. I've been meaning to buy that. Yeah, I've been on there some Sundays, bro. On I was encouraging people to go on his Sunday streams. I catch them from time to time. They're dope, and I definitely big him up on here a lot too, cause I learned a lot when I started on the ASR from his channel. So shout out to the Daydream Sound Edit app boost on. So like, this is what I was talking about before. Like this is like the MPC playing through the external input. Like, so I'm triggering it from the MPC here, full level, and then the ASR. I mean, what's the significant difference? Like, you guys hear it. But mind you, they're both coming out of the ASR output, so that has a lot to do with it too. But the ASR is very faithful at recreating what you throw into it. So same sound to me. So that's the kick. This sounds more like what I want. Sample, input dry right, sample there, wave sample new, enter waiting, edit pitch, LFO, command amp, normalize gain. Yeah, so it's so I'm gonna layer it with my own kick and snare. Edit sequence. Let's do the snare first. Yeah, I'm gonna quantize just. Sometimes I don't, but I don't know. Today I do feel like it. I'm gonna actually not quantize. I don't feel like change my mind. There was something else that I wanted to do. Oh yeah, edit the layer mode trigger. Okay. Then we'll see if we do more filtering on that. Let me make sure my sequence mode is on add. It is. I changed it before. Haven't changed it since, but I'm starting to get to the point in the night where I'm delirious. No, that's not what I wanted to do. Let me do it again. didn't. Edit, command, track. Do the triplet timing. Set ranges. Hit the replace. Do something more basic. Get old. Now put it back on add. I'm gonna just add a kick on the one. Try to quantize just the kick. I'm gonna leave the snare. Do it to 1.8. Set ranges. Add a filter to that, to this snare. I'm gonna just send this wave, this whole layer actually, to the bus 3, because I don't want, I'm about to add reverb to the sample, and I'm gonna add reverb to the sample, so I want both drums on. Oh, I thought I added it. I guess I did it to everything. Yeah, I gotta go on this one. Verse reverb is crazy. Thank you. I did that for this beat too, Ensoniq. The samples. I mean, I'm gonna filter out some of this. Now that I gotta go through that reverb like crazy, I want to filter out some of the sample. Cause I gotta go. The reverb is adding. Some nice artifacts coming out. My bad, guys. My bad. It's getting late. For me, at least. Not my best creation, in my opinion. But, we got to talk. We got to learn. I got to learn. I learned a lot. Damn. I let my my family member borrow my SM7B, so I've been using this heel, which I love, but it's not ideal sometimes when I'm not used to using it that much. But yeah, I've been tempted to buy another SM7 now that I don't have it close by. Excuse me. But yeah, man, we got, a little recap. We got a lot of knowledge. We talked about the ASR software a bit. We had a lot of participation. And messed around with some of the envelopes on the ASR-10. So this video is definitely staying up, even though my beat was crazy at the end. And we used that technique against Ensoniq. So sampling from the vocals the other day was wild in a good way. I don't know if I read it already. I read it maybe in my head. Not many people rocking the sampling from the monitors. I'm actually going to try it. I think I did read it. But yeah, man, we did that again today. And I've liked working that way because it does give me some character, like I said before. And it's just like the vocal sound good, and the Apple mic, the mic on the iPhone is very good too. So why not? And it makes it sound different, like how we used to use tape before, and tape recorders, or those portable recorders. Like I've always wanted one of those Tascams or Sony portable ones that I've seen people use. But I'm just like, I got the iPhone. Why have more? Why not have more gear, right? Us gearheads, but yeah, I've been using that to also show that we can just use what we got. Since I don't got a turntable or a portable recorder, or handheld recorder rather, field recorder, then I'll just use my iPhone as such. And yeah, we layered the drum loop with some MPC drums. Talked about the different ways to chop on the ASR. And honestly, man, I'm just hyped that it felt like I was cooking up with my homies. If you want me to leave you with anything, I could do a summary of everything I did. But the important thing is what we continue to build here, which was that I got to cook up. Like I felt like my homies was in the room giving me suggestions, and it was fire, man. So thank you, Nino. Thank you, everybody else as well. A Major, thank you for being here. To everybody else that joined, I could scroll up. Ensoniq, GearTube. Let me see who else, man. My boy that taught me about how programs are made. Tap Records, man. Thank you for coming in for the first time, I think. Lawrence 13, always here, man. 2, Udwood, thank you, brother. GearTube, I mentioned you already. And Neve D Official 466, bro. Thank you for putting me on to like source code and learning about that. Thank you, Nino, brother. I can't wait till you do. You know why, bro? Because I know whatever you learn, you're gonna come back and share it and put me on too, bro. I know that's selfish reason, but I'm glad that you are gonna deep dive because you're not afraid to share that knowledge with us, bro. We appreciate you, bro. I know that's not just me, but we appreciate you. I gotta be up like at 5 in the morning or some crazy stuff like that. So I need to get going. But yeah, I'm gonna be back on. Let me see. Depends what time I get off of work tomorrow. I'll try to come back for a little cook up, but if not, man, it might be a little while. It might be a little while, like maybe Monday, cause I got some commitments over the weekend. Got some family coming into town and some commitments for the game on Saturday to watch it. But anyways, bro, I hope that I'm gonna check that out, A Major. Okay, I'm gonna check that out. Thank you for shouting him out, man. I'm gonna check that out, and everybody else, please check that out too. Cause if A Major is suggesting it, is because it's a value, and we support everybody in the community here, man. I don't care if other channels get promoted. But yeah, man, everybody have a wonderful rest of your night. Thank y'all for rocking with the stream. Not knowing where it's going and everything, man. I appreciate you guys for being here. And until next time, is your boy FREEPLAY. I love you guys, man. I'm out. Stay blessed.